Hello, astrology lovers. In the last video, I spoke on how Judy Garland became mother to Lisa May Minnelli, and in this video, I will talk on Judy Garland's sudden demise, a study using KCIL. On the right is Judy Garland's photograph, Judy Garland's certificate of birth, born on June the 10th, 1922 at 6 a.m. Judy Garland's birth details, birth date and date 10th June 1922, Saturday, birth time 6 a.m. rectified to 6 hours 23 seconds. Place of birth Grand Rapids, Minnesota, USA. Time zone -6. Latitude 47 14 25 north. Longitude 93 31 60 west. Geocentric latitude 47 degrees 02 dash 43.19 dash north. Nakshatra Mula second quarter. Tithi Krishna Paksha Pratipada and Anmash Khular hourly 22 degrees 45 dash 47.30 dash. On the screen we have Judy Garland's horoscope. Rising sign is Gemini. Rising nakshatra is Ardra. Here you can see rising nakshatra as Rahu, and it's Ardra because rising sign is Gemini. Ardra is connected to new growth by elimination of old rubbish, and Judy did this in a very little way. Also, Moon is in the Rashi of Sagittarius. It's a fiery sign, and in the nakshatra of Mula, here you can see Ketu mentioned. Mula is a nakshatra connected to calm, and Ardra also is a nakshatra connected to calm. So this can make a person very calm oriented, and we know that Judy was very calm oriented person. I added 23 seconds to her birth time, and what made me add this for to know, I request you to watch the previous video on rectification of Judy Garland's horoscope. I continue from where I had left. We will study an event. Her demise happened on 22nd June 1969, and Dasha, you can see Rahu, 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 Mars. This is the first step of demise, and here, as per the first step, Lagna, uh, Mahadasha Lord must appear either in Lagna or 8th or Badhak. Here, Rahu appears in first. So we are done with the first step. Then moving to the second step. That's Mahadasha Lord must relate with 8th subsub Lord, preferably at star level. Now this is a bit tricky, unlike other examples that I have shared. Here Rahu must make link with Venus. We know that Rahu is 3 planets. Rahu also is connected. Rahu also is means the planets that Rahu represents. Rahu means Mercury and Moon. Here Rahu is in the star of Moon, so Rahu represents Moon, and Venus is in the star of Jupiter. Venus is 8th subsub Lord. It's in the star of Jupiter, and Rahu is in the star of Moon. Here Moon is in the star of Ketu. It means Moon is also in the star of the planets that Ketu represents. So Moon is in the star of Ketu, and Ketu represents Jupiter. So Moon is in the star of Jupiter, and Jupiter is in the star of Moon. So Moon and Jupiter are in each other's star. And as Moon and Jupiter are in each other's star, that means Moon is linked with Jupiter, and Rahu is just represents Moon, and Venus is in the star of Jupiter. So Rahu, in a way, is linked with Venus because Rahu in the star of Moon, the Venus star of Jupiter, and Moon and Jupiter are in each other's star. So we can say that Rahu makes link with 8th sub-sublord. Moving to the third step, that's Mahadasha Lord must be strong significator of 1 and 8 along with Marak or Badak or both. Involvement, commitment, and final confirmation. So here, Rahu must make link with Badak. The Rahu is in the star of Moon. The Lord is Rahu. Moon appears in 7th in Badak and Rahu appears in 1. So, Badak and Lagna. Badak and Lagna getting linked and Ketu appears in 2nd. 2nd is Marak. Ketu appears in 2nd because Ketu is in represents Saturn and Saturn appears in 2. Ketu also appears in 2. So Mahadasha Lord Rahu becoming a strong significator of 1 and 8. Moving to the fourth step, studying Bhukti Antar Sukshma Prana. Luckily here the Anantar Rahu and we have already studied Rahu. So we'll just study Sukshma and Prana, that's Mars and Venus. Mars is here and Mars is in the star of Mercury, sub is Jupiter. Mercury in 1 and Jupiter in 7th. So 1 and 7 link gets established. 1 is Lagna and 7th is Padak. Venus, the star of Jupiter, sub is Ketu. Venus has positional status, so its position in Bhav chart matters. Venus involves 1. Venus also its sub-sublord. Venus involves 1. Sublord Ketu. Ketu represents Jupiter and Saturn. Ketu appears here. So 1 and Badhak. The final confirmation with Jupiter. Jupiter also appears in Badhak. So 1 and Badhak link gets established. So we can see Andar and Sukshma also supporting the event. Then the fifth step, that's transit tools for death. As Saturn is a Karka of 8th cusp, thus Karka of death. Thus from Saturn we come to know in which 2.5 years a person may die. On the day of death, Saturn must transit a sign whose sign lord establishes relationship with the 8th cusp sub-sublord, or Badak with or without death inflicting cusps, like Badak and Marak cusps, involvement, commitment, and final conflict. So Saturn, the day of death, was in the sign of Aries, and Lord of Aries is Mars. So step fifth is as Saturn transited Mars, it must establish relation with 8th cusp sub-sublord because Saturn is Karka of death and also Karka of 8th cusp. Here, Saturn in the Rashi of Mars, Mars must make link with 8th cusp. Mars is in the sublord of Jupiter and Venus is in the sublord of Ketu. That means Venus is also in the sublord of Jupiter because Ketu represents Jupiter. So Mars is in the sublord of Jupiter and Venus is also in the sublord of Jupiter. So Mars and Venus are in the same sublord. So Mars and Venus are linked. Now, step 6, 7 and 8 we have to study transit of Saturn, Jupiter, Sun. Because Saturn is connected to death, Jupiter is connected to year of event and Sun is connected to month of event. Let's begin with Saturn. Saturn was in the Rashi of Mars. We'll have to study Mars. Mars in Mercury, Jupiter. Mercury in 1, Lagna, Jupiter in 7 Bath. Saturn in the star of Ketu. Ketu is Saturn, Rahu. Rahu in 1, Saturn in 8th. Saturn in Mercury. Mercury in Rahu, Saturn. Rahu in 1, Saturn in 8. Saturn in Rahu. Rahu is Moon, Rahu. Rahu in 1, 7 Badhak. Similarly, here Jupiter in Rashi of Mercury. Mercury we have studied here. Jupiter in star of Sun. Sun, Mars and Rahu. Rahu in 1, Mars in 7 Badak. Then Saturn, Jupiter was in Sun, sublord of Saturn. Saturn is Sun, Venus. Venus and Sun both in 1. Venus in 7 Badak. Sun in 8th. Jupiter was in Venus. Venus is Jupiter and Ketu. So Jupiter in 7 Badak, Ketu in 2 Marak. Because Ketu represents Saturn. Then Sun was in the Rashi of Mercury. Mercury we have studied here. Jupiter also was in the Rashi of Mercury. Star of Sun, Rahu. Rahu we have studied because Saturn was in subsublord Rahu. Rahu is here also sublord. We have studied Rahu and subsublord Saturn. We have studied because Jupiter was in sublord of Saturn. So we are done with this step, and we can see that all the planets making in with 1 7 with 1, that's Lagna, 2 that's Marak, 7 Padak, and Marak, and 8th Death. Now step 9, Moon transit rule for death. As Moon is connected to day of event, thus on the day of death, Moon transit a star that establishes relationship with 8th cusp subsublord or Badak Bhavs subsublord and simultaneously signify death inflicting houses. Moon on the day of death was in the star of Sun, and Sun we have already studied because Jupiter in the also in the star of Sun. Sun we have studied, and we also know that Sun and Moon are linked because Sun and Moon both in the sub of Rahu, and here Moon is Badak subsublord, and it was in the star of a planet that links with Badak subsublord. Moon, the Rashi of Sun, we have studied Sun. Moon in the sublord of Rahu. We have studied because Saturn in subsublord of Rahu, and Moon in Saturn we have studied because Jupiter in sublord of Saturn. We are done with all the steps of demise, and we can see that uh, the time that we that time that 6 hours 23 seconds, correct, because the death event also matches. Now step 7 is studying promise of various aspects of life by subsublord of various cusps. So what we know about Judy Garland is that she was a world famous actress during her era. She was a very good dancer, singer, good television host, a vaudevillian, very popular, wealthy. So all these things her horoscope must depict. To be an actress, first and fifth subsublord must make link with 10th because first is Lagna, and for an actor her personality matters, and first is also connected to personality, and fifth is connected to creativity, and acting is connected to creativity. So first is Venus and fifth is Moon. Venus and Moon must make link with 10th because 10th is connected to the actions or activities the person does. The Venus is in the star of Jupiter. Jupiter appears in 10th as star and sub, strongly it involves 10th. Commitment with Ketu. Ketu represents Jupiter and Saturn. So Ketu appearing in 10th also. Here Saturn, so Ketu also appears here, and here very strongly sub appears as sublord. In 6th also it appears, and in 2 also it appears. So it involves 10 commits with 2, 6 and 10. And final confirmation with Jupiter, and Jupiter we know it appears in 10th. So 1 makes strong links with 10th, and 10th is connected to fame, and that's the reason she was a world famous actress. Then 5th, Moon. Moon in the star of Ketu. Ketu appears here in 10th, Saturn. So it involves Saturn and commitment with Rahu and Saturn. Rahu in 2, Rahu in 6 also, Rahu in 10. So commitment with 2, 6, 10, and Saturn appearing 2, and a very good link of 5th also mixed with 10th. To be a singer, third subsublord must make link with 10th. Third subsublord is Mercury. Mercury is in the star of Rahu. Rahu appears in 10th as Saturn. It involves Rahu. Commitment with also Rahu here, and final confirmation is Saturn. So Saturn appears in 2, 6, 10. So it involves 10 and commitment with 2, 6, 10, and that can help a person earn money by singing. She was also a television host, which is part of acting and discussed, and she was a vaudevillian that also is connected to third cusp, because third cusp is connected to creativity. Third cusp is connected to courage in communication. So this matches. She was famous and wealthy. To be fame, Lagna Subsublord and 10th must make link with 10 and 11. Here we have already studied Lagna Subsublord, now studying 10th. It's Mercury. Mercury is in the star of Rahu, Abhis Rahu and Saturn. Mercury involves 1, commits with Saturn in 10th. Mercury involves 10th and 11. Mercury involves 10th and 11th, and commits with 10th because Rahu appears in 1 11. So this can make a person have fame. It then also appears in 6 and 2, and both 2 and 6 are favorable for 10th. 2 being 5th from 10th, and 6th being 9th from 10th. So, and now we'll see how she was a wealthy person. Second subsublord is connected to wealth, and here Mercury is second subsublord. Mercury we just now studied because it's third subsublord also. So as Mercury makes link with 2, 6, 10 and 11, it can make a person be wealthy. So I've with the help of this system, I was able to explain to you a lot about the positive side of her character. Now, talking about some negative things, she was an alcoholic and also used to consume drugs. For that, second subsublord must make link with 2, 7, 8, 12, because 2 is Marak, 7 is also Marak, 8 is death, and 12th is 12th from Lagna. So it's bad for Lagna. So Mercury is the second subsublord. It involves Rahu. Rahu represents Mercury and Moon. And so wherever Mercury and Moon will be positioned, Rahu will also be positioned there. It involves 2, 7, 8. So it involves 2, 7, 8. And 2, 6, 7 and 8. And commitment with Saturn. Saturn also in 2, 6, 8. So this is not favorable sign, and can make a person have wrong consuming habits. So I hope I was able to explain to you something about her without talking about any planets or yogas or divisional charts and many other techniques that ancient astrology used. I appreciate you took time to watch this video, and if you found this video informative or useful, then please subscribe to this channel because I will make more videos on this topic. Also, if you have any questions or queries, then please feel free to connect with me with the information mentioned in the description box, or you are welcome to comment also. These are the references. I wish you have a wonderful day and stay safe.